Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Agent Jeff Thomas here. It's Saturday, February 29th, and I just wanted to talk real quick about a article I just came across. I was sent it by my broker. 2020 New York real estate forecast: buyers trade up, renters lose advantage, and sellers quit. This is by Brick Underground, Emily Myers and Jennifer White, Carp. January 2nd they wrote this. And the reason I wanted to address this is just because I think I have a few different opinions, a different perspective as to some of the things that they say in this article that I wanted to get off my chest. So, in the first paragraph here, it says, you could say lightning struck twice, first in New York's historic rent reforms and again in a pile-up of luxury condos. As a result, power shifted in two significant ways from landlords to tenants and from sellers to buyers. And right off the bat, you could say, okay, right off the bat there, I knew where this paper was kind of going, because I don't feel that power was shifted from landlords to tenants with these rent reforms. So that was my beef with that. And the reason is because the tenants lost in this with these rent reforms big time. And the government doesn't want you to know that. I don't know if it's an election season. Like I keep saying, recently they elected a bunch of new liberals that have been passing crazy amounts of rent reform, crazy amounts of real estate reform. Just actually across the board, they've been passing legislation across, the vape shops. I think they're going out of business, and the landlords and the real estate brokers are reeling. But really, this is going to come back down on the tenants' backs. They're going to get less choice. They're going to get less quality, and I'll talk more about that as we move through this little article here. So the first in one of the first paragraphs here, it says, if you're a renter, you're probably thrilled with the new changes in the power dynamic thanks to the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act. Okay, these landmark changes to the state rent laws shifted the ground beneath landlords, giving both rent stabilized and rent rate market new protections, including a ban on potentially asking tenants for last month's rent on top of a security deposit. Huge! Huge! Okay, this last month's rent, okay? So I worked for a company, used to be called Rapid Realty. Rapid Realty came up with last month's with the landlord paying actually they're talking about the tenant paying last month's rent, but the tenant would pay last month's rent in order to get the landlord to pay the broker fee. So there was kind of a way around the broker fee by the tenant being allowed to give an extra month, that being called the last month's rent, and the landlord giving that month actually to the broker. So, it was kind of like a 1 month free kind of thing, and the broker got paid that way. They completely took that out. So no fees are gone. I mean, I was saying before, the only people that benefit from these rent stabilization, rent control laws are the big luxury landlords who were already no fee. I mean, this just makes the smaller landlords have to compete with these bigger no fee, crazy net regulated rent landlords. Okay, the big landlords aren't affected by this. These are the small mom and pop landlords that are going to be affected by this, as well as the brokers. It's giving the tenant a lot less negotiating power here. Let's see. Predictably, landlords say the new laws go too far. They are looking to roll back some of the legislation, arguing they can't make enough to maintain their buildings despite seeing record high rents. Okay. Um, I think this is just going to come down to quality. Let me continue here. No sign of NYC rents dropping in 2020. Okay. So let me tell you, rents were dropping. Rents were dropping. I mean, you can't have all the, a lot of apartments were coming on the market. Um, the rents had gone very high, but they had stabilized, and they were either stable or coming down. And I would actually argue, I mean, they go on to say at the end of this paragraph that, NYC lost the most people since 2010. 40,000 people left. Okay, so there was definitely between Amazon getting cut, just the way that the market was moving, the competition was causing rents to drop. These new rent laws are going to do two things. First, either the rent isn't going to drop because now there's extra risk, there's extra regulation and laws preventing landlords from, maximizing the profit out of their own buildings. But they can also either the rents are going to drop less or quality is going to drop. So, before, if a landlord could increase his rent or he knew would get a little bit more by putting nicer appliances in there, renovating it a little bit, now he might choose not to do that. So, either you're getting inflation through a rent price that is no longer going to be going down because now they have to get top dollar from it because they can't raise it, or you're gonna just be getting a lesser quality for the same amount of money, or maybe a little bit less money but much less quality. Um, those were really some of the main points that I wanted to point out. Um, I don't want to make this video too long, but just the way that this article was written to me, the few points that I made here, like she says, if you're in market rate tenant, there's not much you can do about rising rents. In fact, you may even be collateral damage because when the rent laws prevent new landlords from increasing their rents, there are signs that landlords are raising the rent on their market tenants to make up the money where they can. Okay, she says that. And you'll be increasingly less likely to get a lease with free months, owner paid broker fees. See, she kind of gets it. But, she believes that the rents are going to stay high based on a crowded rental market, landlords who are greedy and they're they're angry about there's a backlash about these rental laws. She's not understanding, that these rental laws are making it much harder to do deals, much harder to negotiate, and they're really they're giving a lot less choice to the tenant. And I have a lot of examples of how these new laws, besides just the broker fee laws, there's plenty of examples of these new laws screwing over the tenants. I've had many more tenants get screwed over on these rent stabilization laws than I've heard them actually helping anybody. Um, the fact that these rents were going to keep going higher and higher without these new laws, I kind of disagree with that. I think that they were already going down. I don't think these laws did anything besides actually either besides prevent rents from going lower and actually disrupt with the renovations and the quality of the tenants were actually getting. So I don't want to keep ranting on the same thing, but just a few little things here. Um, it's a tough market, there's no doubt about it. Uh, let's see, new threats to rent stabilized tenants and apartments. Um, See, she says not always a benefit to the tenants. Landlords are doing whatever they can to push back. Um, Yeah, and then she goes on to say that landlords have to chop up these apartments now in order to skirt the new laws, the new rent stabilization laws. So, now you have to go in and you have to completely rearrange the whole apartment. So now where it was a 3 bed or a 2 bed, now it's like 2 1 beds, and now you can get like this rent increase. You know what I mean? So, I mean, these landlords now have to go way out of their way um, doing things that are completely uh, you know just absurd so that they can get a small rent increase. But they cannot make any money. I'm telling you, the landlords cannot make any money in this environment. I mean, I understand now why they made so much money, when they could, because they knew that this was coming. And now people are leaving, the money's leaving the city, and it's because, things were, things were, I guess, bad before, but the landlords were kind of making it work. Now, things are just so bad. Let's see, what does this say? Legislation Act of 2020 will pit tenants against landlords again, and some big remaining issues that were not addressed in 2019 bill include deregulating apartments, referring to rentals that have already cycled out of restabilization, which activist was reinstated affordable apartments. I mean, if they want cheaper apartments, if they want more nice apartments that normal people can afford to purchase, okay? If they don't want to price people out of the market, they got to get rid of these laws. I mean, they need to get rid of some of these laws. There's no way that this is not going to cause a shortage in the rental market. I mean, there's just no way, because landlords just are going to opt to keep their apartments vacant. I mean, at a certain point, the risk is also possible where there will be another push for a good cause eviction, something that didn't get approved. The outcome is uncertain. It's even possible tenants might lose some of the gains won in 2019. New York City is one of the most tenant-friendly cities. It takes 6 to 12 months to evict someone. 6 to 12 months. So, I mean, you get a tenant in there who doesn't, who just decides not to pay. That's 6 to 12 months that they could be sitting in there. That's a long time not to be paying rent. Yeah, this is an interesting. The market. Elizabeth Stone, managing agent at Stone Realty, says the market for used appliances is going to skyrocket as landlords cut corners instead of buying new appliances. Yeah. I don't work too much in the sales market, so I don't want to comment too much on sales. I do mostly rentals, but um, devastating to the tenants. Devastating. These new laws are going to be, and I just want there to be a different perspective. I love the tenants. I love the landlords. I'm just the middleman. But I just think, and these politicians, they just want to get reelected. I mean, that's what this is all about. I mean, that's why, politicians choose to pass, tenant protection acts, not landlord, because there's a lot more tenants, and it looks way better, if you can say, you're the nice guy that, passed these tenant protection acts. That's really what this is about. It's not actually about what, these acts mean, on the ground, who they're actually helping. If they're too cumbersome, they're probably just going to be banned. I mean, you can say whatever you want, you can put whatever kind of regulation in there, but if the homelessness and the prices just become so unreasonable, they're going to have to repeal some of these. I mean, it's just true, and that's why it's all up in litigation right now. It's not because the landlords are it's literally because they're already getting squeezed too much. It's their own property. They should be able to do, what they want with it. If they want to charge whatever, nobody's going to come take it. So, I mean, let them charge, $1 million for the apartment. I mean, they have to charge something that's, that the market, that somebody comes and takes. And I understand, it's a buyer beware market. So, shop around, do your due diligence, make sure to protect yourself. I do my best. We give out the tenant handbook, the tenant rights handbook. We give it out so that tenants know, what their rights are. But it's just, landlords and tenants should be able to negotiate without, the government's help. They don't need the government to tell them what's a good deal, what's not a good deal. They honestly don't need that. They just need to shop around and find a good deal, and then they need to be able to get in it. And these new laws have prevented. I mean, people with cash money. I met a lot of foreigners with cash money who cannot get apartments because of these new laws. Because they don't have credit or whatever. And I keep saying this. Really, this is all about guarantors. So the whole rental economy right now is not actually. I don't think half of it is based off of the actual income and the ability of the tenant to actually pay. It's, the ability of some uncle or parent that he knows that's, guaranteeing the apartment. That is the whole shebang bang. So, I mean, they didn't hurt any of the guarantor folk, but if you didn't have a guarantor, if you just, had cash, you got hit. If you were by yourself and, you make a decent living, but you wanted to save a little bit of money on the down payment of the apartment or something like that, you might have got hit. I'm just saying, who knows what kind of damage these laws are going to cause, but it's massive. It's massive. And I know this is part of history. I know that this is history making stuff. I hope New York can come out of this okay. But these people up in Albany up there, Cuomo, I'm not going to name names, but I don't know what they're doing up there. I honestly don't know what they're doing. Anyway, I got an appointment to go to. Talk soon.